Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay. And Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, last Thursday was Thanksgiving Day, and most of us realized that we had quite a bit to be thankful for. Even our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School.
Yes, a holiday means a lot to me. First, it gives me an opportunity to relax and count my lack of blessings. And second, it offers a chance to catch up on several days' brooding. But this Thanksgiving was different. I knew it was going to be when I joined my landlady at breakfast last Wednesday morning. Good morning, Mrs. Davis. Did you have a nice night?
Wonderful, Connie. I didn't sleep a wink.
That sounds like fun.
I was planning my menu for tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving, you know, and I wanted something special for Minerva and me.
Minerva? Oh, there you are, you cute little kitten.
Where is she, Connie?
Taking my stocking off with her cute little paws. Stop it, Minerva. Now get away from my stocking. Either get away from those or knit me a new pair with that ball of yarn you play with.
Go out to the kitchen, Minerva. I do want you to hear about tomorrow's menu.
What are you having, Mrs. Davis?
Minerva's favorite dish. S-Q-U-A-B. It doesn't do a bit of good to spell things out anymore.
I guess she's too old for that. Please go into the kitchen, Minerva. There's some milk out there. Right under the S-I-N-K. Don't tell me she slammed the door behind her.
No, that was me, Connie. I wanted to show you the squab I got for tomorrow.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
Well, here it is.
Where? Oh, right there behind that carrot.
It isn't very big, is it?
I've seen stuffing with larger drumsticks.
You know, Connie, I was all ready to get a nice 10-pound turkey yesterday when the clerk at the market said something that made me change my mind.
What did he say?
$8.30.
Well, that is a pretty rude remark.
I'm afraid I was a little testy when I complained about the price. Anyway, when I demanded something cheaper, this is the bird he gave me.
You certainly did.
Well, it'll be enough for Minerva and myself. I suppose you've already been invited somewhere for turkey and all the fixings.
Where would you suggest?
Hasn't Mr. Boynton asked you out for Thanksgiving dinner, Connie?
Not yet, Mrs. Davis, but this morning he's going to be exposed to the most thorough opportunity to do so.
Good.
Of course, Mr. Boynton's been on a very strict budget lately. He probably can't afford any turkey dinners.
Then you bring him back here with you, Connie.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Mrs. Davis, but that squab...
We'll make it do. Remember the old saying, there's always room for just one more.
In this case, you must mean one more squab. Well, thanks anyway, Mrs. Davis. After all, we've still got our health, which is more than I can say for that squab.
Of course, I'd rather see you eat a nice turkey dinner tomorrow. Maybe you could wangle yourself an invitation from one of your friends.
Oh, please, Mrs. Davis. Oh, that must be Walter Denton. He's giving me a lift to school. Be right there, Walter.
Why don't you find out what his folks are planning for tomorrow? Maybe you could get yourself invited there.
I'm surprised at you, Mrs. Davis. Why, I'd never forced myself on anyone in my life.
Connie, take another look at that squab.
Like I say, Walter's mother may not know it yet, but there's always room for just one more. Oh, it certainly is nice weather for Thanksgiving, isn't it, Walter?
It's more than nice, Miss Brooks. This air is absolutely succulent. It's downright savory and delicious.
One more crack like that, and I'll be gnawing on the steering wheel. Tell me, Walter, how do you usually spend Thanksgiving?
Well, usually, Mom cooks a big turkey and we have dinner around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Gosh, I'll never forget last year's meal. First, we had a fresh fruit cup, then some delicious vegetable soup, and then this big golden brown turkey was served with a special dressing made out of chestnuts and raisins and stuff, and... You want to hear the rest of it, Miss Brooks?
Certainly. Just pass me a blotter and keep talking.
remember all the dishes, but the hot mince pie was really tops. And my mom is just about the best cook in this town.
And like most good cooks, she probably prepares more food than she really needs.
Oh, sure. Out of last year's turkey, the whole family had turkey, turkey giblets, turkey sandwiches, and turkey hash.
That's because you didn't invite enough guests over for Thanksgiving dinner. You know, Walter, I've often thought that people who are so close to each other all year round should somehow manage to spend their holidays together as well.
What kind of people are you talking about, Miss Brooks?
Well, school teachers and students, for example.
Who needs teachers on a holiday? I mean, most teachers you get enough of during school hours, if present company accepted, of course. Oh, you're a lot different, Miss Brooks.
I know, I'm hungrier. Look, Walter, about spending Thanksgiving together, if you're planning to be with your folks...
Oh, but I'm not, Miss Brooks. No, my mother and Dad are going out of town for the weekend. It's my Dad's first vacation in 2 years.
How come you're not leaving town with them?
It's my Dad's first vacation in 2 years. Oh, he loves me, but he thinks I'm a little wearing in spots. So I'm staying over at Stretch Snodgrass's house until next week.
Oh, I see. Then you'll have Thanksgiving dinner with Mr. and Mrs. Snodgrass.
No, ma'am, they're going away with my folks. They're good friends, you know, just like Stretch and me. But, Miss Brooks, I think your idea about spending Thanksgiving together is swell.
You do?
Sure. Then why don't you and Stretch and me have dinner tomorrow?
Dinner? Well, that might be very nice, Walter.
Oh, great. Then Stretch and I'll be over to your place at 3 o'clock sharp.
My place?
Well, yeah. That is, if you still want us.
I wouldn't be without you. But, Walter, Mrs. Davis did the shopping yesterday, and there just weren't any good-sized turkeys left that she could afford. So what she bought was a very
what she bought isn't important, Miss Brooks. What counts is spending Thanksgiving with people who mean something to you. Gee, the Pilgrim certainly had it all over us modern characters. When a pilgrim wanted to celebrate the holiday, he just picked up his musket and shot himself a turkey.
At the current prices, Walter, the only way I'll have a turkey tomorrow is if I pick up a musket and shoot myself a butcher.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Boynton. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute before your first class.
Well, I'm glad you dropped in, Miss Brooks. I've got some rather exciting news this morning.
I'll be glad to. What is it, Mr. Boynton?
Well, do you remember the raffle ticket I bought last month in Marty's malt shop?
Oh, on that green Adams hat with the red feather?
No, on a tom turkey. They had the drawing last night, and I won. Isn't that wonderful?
That is what I call the coincidence of all time.
Coincidence?
Why do you think I stopped by your laboratory this morning?
Well, I don't know.
To invite you over for Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow.
Well, that is nice of you, Miss Brooks. I'll be happy to come over. About what time will you be expecting me?
I'll be expecting you and Tom about noon.
Tom? Oh, you mean the turkey. Well, I'm afraid he won't be with me, Miss Brooks. You see, at this very moment, the turkey is on a train headed upstate.
Why? Did he get fed up with our climate?
Oh, I sent him up to my folks' place. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to visit my parents this year, but, well, now they'll have something to remind them of me anyhow.
Must be a very tall turkey. What did he weigh, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, about 18 pounds. Of course, what I'd do with an 18-pound turkey, I'll never know.
Until tomorrow. Well, I'd better be running along now. On second thought, you needn't get to the house until 3 or 3:30. On third thought, you can back out of the whole thing if you want to.
Back out? I should say not. I'll be there all right, and thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. But, Mr. Boynton, if you're expecting the conventional Thanksgiving Day dinner, you're liable to be a little disappointed. I'm just not having it.
Oh, what are you having?
So far, Walter Denton and Stretch Snodgrass.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith.
Now, proof that brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helps stop tooth decay before it starts.
Continuous research, hundreds of case histories, makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice research on tooth decay.
Eminent dental authorities supervised hundreds of college men and women for over 2 years. One group always brushed their teeth with Colgates right after eating. The other followed their usual dental care.
The group using Colgate dental cream as directed, using Colgate's exclusively, showed a startling reduction in average number of cavities, far less tooth decay. The other group developed new cavities at a much higher rate. No other dentifrice offers proof of these results.
Modern research shows decay is caused by mouth acids, which are at their worst right after eating. Brushing teeth with Colgate as directed helps remove acids before they harm enamel. Yes, Colgate contains all the necessary ingredients, including an exclusive patented ingredient for effective daily dental care.
So remember, always use Colgate dental cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Well, Thanksgiving Day arrived right on schedule, mostly because I couldn't do anything to stop it. After breakfast, I headed straight for the kitchen. There, I took a good look at Mrs. Davis's squab. Then I took an aspirin. Then I gave the squab an aspirin. Then I decided to make Mrs. Davis a full partner in my panic. Oh, this is terrible, Mrs. Davis. We can't possibly serve 5 people with this amount of food.
Calm down, Connie. We'll make out some way. I've got cans of salmon in the house and some cheese and crackers and tidbits of one sort or another.
But one doesn't serve tidbits for Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, I wish that bird looked bigger. Did you stuff him again since we last discussed it?
I've stuffed him 5 times since then, Connie. In fact, the last time I went to fill him up, I got the feeling that he was trying to kick my hand away.
Oh, it's no use, Mrs. Davis. It just won't work.
I still think you should follow the advice I gave you yesterday, Connie, and get yourself invited out for a real turkey dinner.
But I've already asked Mr. Boynton to join me.
Then get him invited along with you.
Well, what about Stretch Snodgrass and Walter Denton?
Take them along, too.
Why not? While we're at it, why don't you and Minerva join our happy little group?
We'd love to, Connie. Where are we going?
I don't know where you're going, but I'm going to take another aspirin.
I'm sure the Conklins would like to have you over. I ran into Martha yesterday, and she told me that she was all ready to carve a huge turkey.
Oh, is she fighting with Mr. Conklin again?
Now, don't be silly, Connie. Martha even remarked yesterday that she was hoping Mr. Conklin would ask some of the teachers in to share their dinner.
I can just picture that. If Mr. Conklin saw any teachers at his dinner table, he wouldn't know what to bite first.
That doesn't apply to Mr. Boynton, though. Osgood is quite fond of him. And he's also extremely taken with Stretch Snodgrass. Thinks he's the best athlete Madison's ever had.
Well, what about his attitude toward me?
Call anyway. Remember, Connie, pride goes before a fall. You've got to make a hit with Mr. Boynton. Here, I'll dial the number for you.
Oh, but Mrs. Davis, Mr. Conklin can't stand the sight of Walter Denton.
Nonsense,
I know he
dear.
doesn't...
His daughter Harriet is crazy about the boy.
Hello?
One moment, please. Miss Brooks is calling. Here, Connie.
Oh, hello?
Oh, hello, Miss Brooks. This is Harriet. Gee, I'm glad you called. You're having Walter Denton over for dinner, aren't you?
That's the original plan, Harriet.
I
but
wish we could all have dinner together, Miss Brooks. I was just talking to Mother about it this minute.
You were? Well, now that's funny. I wanted to talk to Mother about the same thing.
Wonderful, Miss Brooks. Wait a minute, I'll put her on.
Thanks, Harriet. Harriet and her mother were just talking about getting together for dinner, Mrs. Davis.
Hello, Miss Brooks.
Hello, Mrs. Conklin.
Forgive me if I talk rather quietly, but Mr. Conklin's taking a nap in the living room. He needs the rest, you know. He's been rather irritable lately.
I know, for the last 5 years. We've known each other for 5 years now, and, well, the reason I called...
Harriet told me, Miss Brooks. I just know you feel exactly as we do. That people should share their Thanksgiving joy with their friends.
That's right, Mrs. Conklin. You understand, though, that it isn't just me. I've already invited Walter, Stretch, and Mr. Boynton.
The more the merrier, I always say.
Well, I'm glad you always say that, Mrs. Conklin, because my little party lacks just one thing, which you and only you can provide.
What a beautiful way to put it. I can only say, Miss Brooks, that we'll be proud and happy to share Thanksgiving dinner with you and your friends.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Conklin.
Thank you, my dear. Harriet and Mr. Conklin and I will be at your place at 2 o'clock sharp.
It's almost 1, Mother. Don't you think we should wake Daddy?
In a minute, Harriet. Did you take our turkey down to the mission like I told you?
Yes, Mother. I just got back. They certainly were grateful. The man said it would feed almost a dozen people who ordinarily would go without any Thanksgiving meal at all.
Fine, dear. I know your father will be happy at the thought of sharing with our lesser privileged citizens. Now go on in and wake him up, Harriet.
Yes, Mother. Daddy.
Pass some more white meat, please.
It's time to get up, Daddy.
What? What's the matter? Oh, it's you, child. What time is it?
1 o'clock. How do you feel after your nap?
Fine, Harriet, just fine. Except for one thing.
What's that?
I could eat my weight in wildcats. Martha! Oh, Martha!
Yes, dear? What is it?
Let's not wait till 2 o'clock for dinner. I'd like to eat right now.
Oh, but Osgood,
I saw that turkey in the oven when it was finished this morning, Martha, and I just can't get it out of my mind. Oh, it sure smells good, too.
You must have a pretty long smeller, dear. We gave our turkey to the folks who run the mission. We're going out for dinner.
Oh, but I don't want to go out. I want to eat in my robe and slippers and... You gave our turkey to whom?
The mission, dear. It's like a municipal shelter, you know.
The man said our turkey would feed almost a dozen underprivileged citizens.
Oh, he did. Well, teachers are underprivileged citizens, too. But I don't give them my Thanksgiving dinner.
Now, calm down, Osgood. This is no day for your high blood pressure to get out of hand. We're going over to Margaret Davis' place to have dinner with Miss Brooks and some of her friends.
Miss Brooks? Who needs teachers on a holiday?
Daddy, Mrs. Davis is a very exotic cook. I'm sure she'll have some wonderful dishes prepared for you.
But I don't want Mrs. Davis's dishes. I want turkey. Turky. Turkey.
Of course, dear. Now, everyone buys too much for Thanksgiving dinner. Otherwise, we'd have brought our turkey over to Miss Brooks. But as it is, think of the joy you're sharing with the people at the mission, Osgood.
Joy my foot. The food at Miss Brooks' place had better be good today. Good. It had better be great.
Every time I tried to call Mrs. Conklin back, the party line was in use. Now they don't answer. They're probably on their way over here this minute to eat dinner or not to eat dinner.
Please, Connie, you're beginning to sound like Hamlet. Don't worry so about the Conklins. They'll probably bring their turkey over with them, and we'll have plenty.
Do you really think so, Mrs. Davis?
We'll soon know, Connie. Will you answer the door, please? I'm trying to find some more cans of salmon, just in case.
All right, Mrs. Davis.
Happy Thanksgiving, Miss Brooks.
A very happy Thanksgiving, Miss Brooks.
Hello.
The same to you. But is this all the party?
What do you mean, Miss Brooks?
I mean, just you three? Nothing waiting out in the car or anything?
Well, we were going to bring our turkey along, but we know what a well-stocked larder you folks must have, so we donated it to the mission.
The mission?
One of my favorite charities. There's no joy like sharing. May we come in now and start sharing yours?
Of course, Mr. Conklin. If you'll just sit here in the living room, I'll go back to the kitchen and tell Mrs. Davis you're here.
Oh, Harriet and I will go back and help out, Miss Brooks. You've done enough for one day. Why, I'll bet you worked like a beaver this morning.
Gnawed through 6 fingernails. Oh, I didn't do too much, no.
Come on, Mother. I'll fix the salad dressing that new way you showed me.
All right, dear. And I'll tell Mrs. Davis about the new things we've been doing with parsley.
Never mind the side dishes. Let's just get that turkey to the table pronto.
You chat with Miss Brooks, dear. We'll just be a little while.
We'll make it snappy. I could eat my weight in wildcats, Miss Brooks.
If they come in cans, you may get the chance. I mean, we'll be sitting down as soon as the others arrive, Mr. Conklin.
Oh, yes, I forgot. You're having some of your friends in. I hope that lame-brained dunce, Walter Denton, isn't expected.
Want some popcorn, Mr. Conklin? Or potato chips?
No, thanks. Who's coming to this dinner, Miss Brooks?
Well, Mr. Boynton, for one.
Oh, nice chap, Boynton. Far less irritating than many of his contemporaries.
What's the trouble, Mr. Conklin?
I'm not a well man. I've had some very strange symptoms lately.
What kind of symptoms?
Well, every so often I get sudden, blinding flashes of appetite.
Oh, well, that's because you're under such a strain, Mr. Conklin. You see, under great emotional tension, many people experience sudden and uncontrollable appetites. It's psychosomatic to some extent.
Really? Now, perhaps you'd like me to stretch out on the couch and tell me how, at the age of 3, I was convinced that my younger brother was a Cocker Spaniel.
Yours, too? I was only trying to help, Mr. Conklin. I had an aunt who suffered just like you do. I remember one time my uncle caught his nose in the piano bench. And he ran right down to the corner and bought herself a pickle.
A pickle?
It satisfied her nervous craving. When she stayed with us, we always had to keep a big supply of food on hand. Big juicy steaks, chops, chicken, ducks, cold cuts, potato salad.
Please, Miss Brooks. I want my dinner.
But, Mr. Conklin, the others aren't... It's open. Come on in.
Hello, Miss Brooks. Oh, Mr. Conklin, say, this is a surprise.
Hello, Boynton. Can we sit down now, Miss Brooks?
Not quite yet. Pull up a chair, Mr. Boynton.
Thanks. Well, how does the turkey look? Did you get a nice-sized bird?
Well, to be honest, Mr. Boynton, our turkey may not be such a big bird, but I'm sure the party is going to be a very big turkey. Oh, I almost forgot. There are some salted peanuts in this dish, Mr. Conklin.
One would almost think you were trying to destroy my appetite. But nothing can do that, Miss Brooks. Absolutely nothing.
Well, the door was open, so I just breezed on in. Hi, Miss Brooks.
Here comes nothing now.
Huh? Oh, hi, Mr. Boynton and Mr. Conklin.
Hello, gentlemen.
Miss Brooks, I've got some bad news for you.
You'll have to get in line, Walter. What is it?
Well, Stretch's aunt and uncle insisted that he have dinner with them today, so he can't possibly be here in time to eat with us. Isn't that awful?
I'm absolutely devastated.
Me too. Gosh, Miss Brooks, what'll we do with all the extra food that's left over?
We'll eat it.
At last! Come on!
May I escort you to the dining room, Miss Brooks?
It won't be necessary, Mr. Boynton. I'll just follow Leo the lion.
I've cut the squab into small pieces and sprayed it with sweet air, Connie. Nobody will know it isn't turkey. Now then, keep the lid on this big tray except when you're serving, and they won't know how little we've got.
All right, Mrs. Davis. I might as well trot it in. Well, here we are. What'll you have, Mrs. Conklin?
Oh, serve Mr. Conklin first, will you, dear? He's quite hungry.
Certainly. Mr. Conklin, what'll it be?
I'll have a drumstick.
A drumstick. Yes, sir. Here you are.
Where I are.
The drumstick. This is it. You know what they say, the nearer the bone, the sweeter the meat.
If this has any meat on it, it must be inside the bone.
Well, this is a brand new breed of turkey, Mr. Conklin. They've been experimenting for years with this type on the theory that the shorter the legs, the larger the breast.
Oh, then give me some of that.
Yes, sir. Here it is.
This is it?
This it is. You see, when they were experimenting with the short legs, the breast didn't quite get the idea of what they were trying to do.
Well, where are the wings?
This bird didn't get his wings. He flunked out in basic training.
I thought we'd never get out of that place. Fine dinner that was.
Take it easy, Osgood. We'll stop off on our way home and get a bite somewhere.
I thought the salmon was quite tasty. But, Mother, why do you suppose Miss Brooks took Mr. Boynton aside and then excused herself in the middle of the meal and left?
Why, it was obvious, dear. Miss Brooks wanted us to have enough to eat.
And to think we sent a beautiful 16-pound turkey to the mission.
Everything happens for the best, dear. See, that's the mission right ahead of us. What a big line of people waiting to be fed. Doesn't it do your heart good to know that we
Mother,
can...
look. That man with the 2 plates full of turkey.
Yeah, full of my turkey. Why, it's Mr. Boynton.
So it is. And who's that right behind him with the blue cap and hitting the big bass drum?
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Open up the kitchen door, Lord, Lord, just one more.
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment, but first,
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight? Yes, tonight. Show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives Kay Dumas' magic blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Not a soap, not a liquid. Luster Cream shampoo leaves hair 3 ways lovelier. Fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. No special rinse needed after a Luster Cream shampoo. So gentle, Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo.
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
and now once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, after Mr. Boynton and I had helped to feed over 50 underprivileged citizens, including Mr. Boynton and me, we found out that we had enough money between us to take in a movie. But on our way to the Strand, Mr. Boynton suddenly stopped.
Miss Brooks, helping out at the mission made me realize how lonely the most festive occasion can be if you're not sharing it with someone.
You're so right, Mr. Boynton. I guess you and I are pretty fortunate.
Oh, we certainly are. But I just remembered that there's another member of Madison's faculty who's all alone tonight and needs cheering up pretty badly. Let's do something about it, shall we, Miss Brooks?
Oh, that's a wonderful idea, Mr. Boynton. I'm all for it. I suppose you're referring to our French colleague, Monsieur Leblanche.
Oh, no, Miss Brooks. I was thinking of Miss Enright. Let's go pick her up right now.
Who needs teachers on a holiday?
Next week, tune into another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon.
Here's good shaving news. 3 men out of every 4 can get more comfortable, actually smoother shaves with Palmolive brushless shaving cream. This is not just a claim. Here's the proof. 1,297 men tried the Palmolive brushless way to shave described on the tube. And no matter how they shaved before, 3 men out of every 4 got more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Try Palmolive brushless yourself. See if you don't get more comfortable, actually smoother shaves the proved Palmolive brushless way.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North. Tune in Tuesday evening over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Palmolive Soap, your beauty hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. Our Miss Brooks teaches English at Madison High School, and although, like most of our teachers, she possesses a higher-than-average intelligence, she also possesses the higher-than-average curiosity of most of our women. Especially when it comes to weighing machines. There's nobody more concerned about the result than a female who has just deposited her penny in the slot.
Unless it's the male tub of lard who was on the scale when I got there. This happened last Wednesday after school. I was passing the drugstore and just happened to have a penny on me. Tuesday was payday. So I approached the weighing machine, and like I said, this brewery horse was stomping on the springs. And when he saw his weight on the little card, he looked around the drugstore, then made tracks for a sign saying girdle department. I calmly stepped aboard, and when my card came out, I glanced casually at my weight, chuckled as if to say, how much accuracy can you expect for a cent? And was just about to throw the card away when I noticed my fortune printed on the back. It said, a tall, dark man is coming into your life. Then, of course, I did drop the card. It landed in my purse, and I proceeded on home. By the next morning, I'd forgotten about it completely. As usual, I'd left word for Mrs. Davis, my landlady, to wake me at 7:30.
Connie. Oh, Connie.
Oh, what is it?
Better hurry, Connie. You've only got 20 minutes.
20 minutes? What time is it?
7:10, and you've only got 20 minutes to sleep.
Oh, fine. Well, come on in, Mrs. Davis.
Did you have a good night, Connie? I said, did you have a good night?
Good night, Mrs. Davis.
You better get up now, Connie. Here, I've brought you some fruit juice. Go on, Connie. Take a sip.
Oh, what kind of juice is this?
It's a combination. Pineapple, papaya, and passion fruit. It's a genuine Hawaiian recipe.
What do you stir it with, a ukulele?
After you drink it, we'll have a nice... Why, Connie, what's that little white card?
What little white card?
This one here on your night table. Let's see. It says, a tall, dark man is coming into your life. Now, who do you suppose that could be?
Well, it's not Sonny Tufts. He's a blonde.
Maybe they mean Mr. Philip Boynton.
The bashful biologist? No, Mrs. Davis. So far, he's managed to remain in the suburbs of my life.
Well, of course, I don't believe in fortunes on cards and crystal gazing and palm reading and all that nonsense. There is, however, a logical and scientific way to arrive at certain conclusions about one's personal destiny.
What's that, Mrs. Davis?
Tea leaves. Now, you hurry and get dressed, and I'll brew the tea. After breakfast, I'll give you a reading.
All right, Mrs. Davis. Oh, just a minute.
What is it, Connie?
Before I get out of bed, you better take that tall, dark man off my night table.
Finished with your tea, Connie?
Yes, Mrs. Davis.
Let's see now. Where are the leaves?
Well, most of them are in my teeth.
Here we are. There's plenty left for a reading. First, we revolve the cup 3 times slowly between our hands, then quickly turn it over onto the saucer. There. Well, what do you know? The weight card was right.
What?
There he is, right there in the cup. The tall, dark man who's coming into your life. Don't tell me you can't see him.
Oh, of course. For a minute, I didn't recognize him with all those tea leaves on.
This is an amazing coincidence, Connie. I'd like to get another reading, if you don't mind.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Davis. It's always nice to be sure.
Well, what do you know about that?
I know, he's gone. Left town without even saying goodbye.
Connie, be serious. This is an amazing thing I see in this cup.
What now, Mrs. Davis?
I don't think I should tell you.
Why not?
Because you're not even married yet.
Oh, but I'm a big girl now. I'll have to find out sooner or later.
I never would have believed it. 3 of them.
3 tall, dark men?
No, Constance. 3 little ones.
3 little dark men?
Children. You're going to have 3 children.
Well, don't look so shocked, Mrs. Davis. Maybe they're his by a former marriage.
No, Connie, they're yours. But how can you keep your job at school if you've got to take care of... Oh, I know. I'll get Mrs. Fletcher. When my niece Bertha had the twins, Mrs. Fletcher took over completely.
Oh, now, just a minute, Mrs. Davis. Don't you think it's a
now,
little
quiet,
soon?
Connie. You can't prepare too soon for this sort of thing. Now, where did I put Mrs. Fletcher's phone number? I better call...
I don't want Mrs. Fletcher. I'll take care of my kids myself.
Yes, that's the way you want it, Connie. After all, I'm only trying to be helpful.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Davis. This tea leaf business is pretty fascinating. But I better get ready. Walter Denton's giving me a lift to school again.
Oh, is your car in the repair shop, Connie?
Yes, it is.
What's wrong with it this time?
Well, I can't be sure, but I think that Joe, the mechanic, and my car are that way about each other. Every time I try to separate them, the car blows a gasket. Oh, there's Walter now. I'll be right with you, Walter.
Oh, before you go, Connie, please do me one favor.
Certainly. What is it?
Promise me you'll be very careful today.
Careful? Oh, you mean about my fortune. Mrs. Davis, I give you my word of honor. I'll let you know in plenty of time to call Mrs. Fletcher. Walter, it's very nice of you to keep driving me to school like this.
Oh, that's all right, Miss Brooks. I don't like to take advantage of the fact that because your car is incapacitated and I can jump into the breach now and then, transportation-wise, that is, you can't very well refuse gracefully, but I'm telling you can before I even ask you. That's square enough, isn't it?
Square as things since Clyde McCoy. But being an English teacher, I practically understand you, Walter. Just what kind of advice do you need this morning?
Oh, it's a girl.
What's a girl?
Harriet Conklin.
Why, Walter Denton, you've been wearing your glasses again. What about Harriet?
Well, I'm afraid it's a pretty long story.
That's all right. I have a pretty long ear.
Well, as you know, Miss Brooks, Harriet Conklin is the daughter of Mr. Conklin.
Granted.
Who, in turn, is married to Harriet's mother, Mrs. Conklin. It all started the night before last. See, I told you it was a long story.
Only the way you tell it. Go ahead.
Well, the night before last, I had a date with Harriet to go to the movies. But when I got to her house to pick her up, she acted like I had bubonic plague or something.
Did you? I mean, what did she do?
Well, she said that she couldn't be bothered with me anymore because a tall, dark man was coming into her life.
Her, too? Must be an epidemic. Where did she find out about this tall, dark man?
Well, that's where her mother comes in.
Maybe there's a shorter way to listen to this story.
Her mother and Harriet had taken out the Ouija board that afternoon. That's when they found out about this tall guy.
Well, after all, Walter, you can't compete with a non-existent rival.
That's just the trouble. He's not non-existent.
He's not?
No, he materialized yesterday.
Oh, now, Walter, please.
No, it's true, Miss Brooks. Harriet told me all about him when I called yesterday evening, although I wasn't going to after the way she treated me the evening before. But when I did, she told me that this tall, dark French teacher had checked in at their house to give her father his papers before he began teaching French at school today.
I know you're telling me something because I can see your lips moving. What is it, Walter?
Well, don't you understand, Miss Brooks? It's called an exchange deal. This teacher came over from Paris, France.
What did we send them? 2 outfielders and a shortstop?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I do know that Harriet sounded like this French teacher was a combination of Maurice Chevrolet and...
I know. Maurice Chevrolet and Charles Buick.
I was going to say Charles Boyer.
That's what I was afraid you were going to say. This teacher must be quite an interesting personality. What's his name?
Let's see now. There's an article about him in the school paper. Oh, I know. It's Manette. Jacques Manette.
Jacques Manette? Oh, you mean Jacques Monet. Say, that is a romantic-sounding name, all right. I'll bet he's a very nice person.
Oh, it's not him I'm worried about. It's Harriet. Since he showed up, she thinks the Ouija board is infallible.
The Ouija board? Oh, that's ridiculous. Harriet's much too sensible to... Why, I'm surprised at her. Next thing you know, she'll be having her tea leaves read. 3 children?
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith with an important announcement.
Doctors, leading skin specialists, prove Palmolive soap using nothing but Palmolive can bring lovelier complexions, regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care.
Less oily skin for Helen Bixon, Minneapolis.
Fresher, brighter color for Clara Franklin, San Francisco.
Smoother, younger-looking skin for Rochelle Bruchot, New York City.
Yes, 36 doctors, leading skin specialists, advised using Palmolive for 1,285 women, many with complexion problems. Some had dry skin, some oily, some dull and coarse-looking. And using palm olive alone, nothing else, 2 out of 3 won fresher, brighter skin. Now, here's the plan these doctors advised.
Wash your face with palm olive soap. Massaging for 1 minute with palm olive soft lather. This cleansing massage brings your skin palm olive beautifying effect. Rinse. Do this 3 times a day for 14 days.
It's that simple. But remember, leading skin specialists prove this plan really works, regardless of age, skin type, or previous beauty care. So try palm olive soap this way, using nothing but palm olive, as these doctors advised, for a lovelier complexion.
For loveliness all over, use big, thrifty bath-size palm olive in your tub or shower.
Well, here we are, Miss Brooks. Thanks, Walter, and don't worry too much about losing Harriet's affections. I'm sure the French teacher's just a passing phase in her life.
Say, there's Harriet on the steps. I'll go find a place to park.
See you later, Miss Brooks. All right, Walter. Hello there, Harriet.
What? Oh, hello, Miss Brooks. You'll have to forgive me if I seem to be in a reverie.
I've heard about your Ouija board.
I don't care what anybody says, Miss Brooks. There must be something to it. Imagine the very next day, he came along.
It's the first time I've ever seen capital letters in conversation. He must be quite attractive.
Attractive isn't the word, Miss Brooks.
No? What is the word?
Heavenly. Super heavenly. Stratospherically heavenly.
Oh, please, Harriet. I'll come up a little if you'll come down a little.
Oh, wait till you see him, Miss Brooks. He's...
Adjust safety belts. Mm-hmm. Look, Harriet, I think it's all very natural for a schoolgirl to have crushes. I had them myself.
You, Miss Brooks?
Yes, me, Miss Brooks. I wasn't born an English teacher, you know. I also think it's perfectly normal for a girl your age to think like a schoolgirl in other ways. But I do say this, and I mean it sincerely, Harriet. You don't have to act like a schoolgirl.
Pardonnez-moi, but you are the principal's daughter, Harriet, no?
Mais oui, Monsieur Monet, mais oui. Oh, this is Miss Brooks.
Miss Brooks, je suis enchanté. That is, I've heard so much about you. But it is, how do you say, understatement. You're so youthful, so lovely. Why, you're like a pupil, not a teacher.
Run along, Harriet. You'll be late for school.
But we're at school.
Oh? When did that get here?
Something is wrong.
Wrong? Oh, I should say not, Monsieur Monet. It's just that, well, we don't meet such distinguished visitors every day, and, well, they must have given at least 3 outfielders and 2 shortstops for him.
Pardon?
Oh, it's just a figure of speech.
Oh, and a lovely figure you have, too.
Oh, this is a doll. Shall we go into the school, Monsieur Monet?
Oui, yes. I have to stop at Monsieur Conklin's office. You show me where it is, huh? No?
I show you where is it, yes. Well, I hope Mr. Boynton sees us together.
I'll direct Monsieur Monet to Daddy's office, Miss Brooks.
Oh, you won't have time, Harriet. You have to freshen up before your class.
Freshen up? But I just stepped out of the shower.
Then give yourself a rub down. You'll catch cold. This way, monsieur.
Come in. Well, it's our new French teacher. Good morning, Monsieur Monet.
Bonjour, Monsieur Conklin. Excuse me, I mean good morning.
Hi, Daddy.
Hello, Harriet.
Mr. Conklin, I just came in to volunteer my assistance if you're looking for somebody to show Mr. Monet around the school.
I told Miss Brooks that I'd be glad to take Mr. Monet, Daddy. Of course, I'd need your permission to cut one of my classes. Maybe English. I'm pretty well advanced in that.
Me too. Maybe we both could cut it.
Please, I would not want either of you to, how do you say, put out yourselves.
Oh, it would be silly to put out ourselves now. After all, we just started to blaze.
I'm sure I'll be able to show Mr. Monet the rope.
But, Daddy, you're too busy.
Oh, much too busy, Daddy. I mean... Mr. Conklin, I have a study period coming up in which
I don't want to
plenty
hear
of...
any more about it. I'm sure Mr. Monet wouldn't want us to feel that because of him our entire system was disrupted.
Oh, certainly not. I can find my own way about the premises. I'm sure that...
Well, in that case, come along, Harriet. You're in my first class, you know.
Oh, one moment, Miss Brooks. Would you do me the great honor of perhaps having lunch with me?
With pleasure. Oh, but I did have a date with Mr. Boynton. I think I'll keep that date, too. Maybe it'll open his eyes a little. I'll see you in the cafeteria, Mr. Monet.
But I thought Mr. Monet was going to have lunch with us. Didn't you tell me you were going to invite him to the house, Daddy?
Invite him? Well, I suppose so.
Thank you just the same, monsieur, but I would rather not leave the school proper during my first day.
Ah, an admirable spirit, Monet. If more of our homegrown teachers had it, Madison High School would be a better place in which to learn something. Something like English, for example.
Yes. Well, as the little boy in the Fisk ad says,
it's time to retire.
Come in.
Hello, Mr. Boynton.
Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. How are you today?
Fine, thanks. I'm glad I caught you before your class got in. I wanted to ask you about lunch.
Oh, I'll be happy to join you. Thanks very much.
Oh. Well, I had other plans, but how can I resist an invitation like that? By the way, Mr. Boynton, do you speak any foreign language?
Just American.
Why, Mr. Boynton, you're getting quite a sense of humor. Must catch it from your frogs. Really, though, do you speak French, for instance?
No, I don't.
Then you wouldn't know what a French person would be saying to me if he said it in French, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Good. This may be a very interesting lunch for all of us.
All of us?
Yes, you see, there's a new teacher in school.
Oh, you mean Jacques Monet?
You've met him?
Oh, yes. I had to deliver some papers to Mr. Conklin's home yesterday, and he was there. Oh, he's a prince of a chap. We had quite a time together. Be nice to see him again at lunch.
Oh, it will.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, you'll have to apologize to him for me. I'm afraid I'll be a little late.
Oh, you will? That's too bad, Mr. Boynton. Why will you be late?
Well, it's McDougal here. You know, my bullfrog. He's got me worried, Miss Brooks. It's his throat. He can't seem to croak above a whisper.
Oh, that's too bad, poor McDougal. Hi, Mac. He must have gargled.
It did sound pretty good, but... No, I'll still have to stay close to him to see how the medication I'm giving him catches on. I'll get to lunch as soon as I can, though. Oh, good old Jacques Monet. He's a real man's man.
You've been wrong before, Brother Boynton, but never like this. Here's a nice table, Mr. Monet. Let's sit down.
Oui. Yes, Miss Brooks. This is certainly a big restaurant.
It's a cafeteria, Mr. Monet.
Yes. Now then, shall we look at the carte du jour, bill of fare?
Bill of fare?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you mean menu. They don't have any menus here, Mr. Monet.
No? Then how do you select an order?
Well, here you don't exactly select an order. You just sort of point and holler. I'll show you in a minute. But first, I'd like to ask a little favor, Mr. Monet. As you know, Mr. Boynton is joining us for lunch.
Oh, yes. Yes, fine fellow, Mr. Boynton. A real man's man.
On him it fits. I mean, he is a very nice man, but he's sort of shy.
Shy?
Mm-hmm.
Why should he be shy? He is tall, muscular, with a fine head of hair, good teeth, pleasing manner.
What else is new? What I wanted to ask of you is very simple. You see, Mr. Boynton is too bashful to ask you himself, but I'm sure he'd get a tremendous kick. That is, he'd enjoy it if you spoke nothing but French during our lunch.
But why?
Well, he's trying to learn how to speak your language. He understands it fine, but he's not sure of his pronunciation. He could learn a lot from you about a lot of things.
Well, I suppose I could help him.
He's coming over now, Mr. Monet. Remember how you kissed my hand this morning?
Eh.
Would you do it again, please?
What?
Quickly, Mr. Monet. It's part of Mr. Boynton's education. Hurry, here, my hand.
Miss Brooks, I don't like to be, how do you say, gougy, but you're pushing out one of my feelings.
There you are. What's the trouble, Mr. Monet? Got something caught in your teeth?
Just an old cuticle of mine. Sit down, Mr. Boynton.
Comment ça va aujourd'hui, monsieur?
Yeah. How do you like our cafeteria?
C'est bon.
Mr. Monet says it's lovely, but not half as lovely as I am. Why, Mr. Monet, how flattering. Let's see now. What will we eat today?
Well, how about the roast beef? That's what I'm going to have.
Me, too. How about you, Mr. Monet? Tell him in French.
Je désire un petit marmite, eau vichysoise, une salade et une tranche de roast beef, des haricots verts, des crêpes Suzette et une demi-tasse.
Oh, Mr. Monet, you and your compliments. Oh, now stop that and tell Mr. Boynton what you want to eat.
But I do not understand.
Mr. Monet, quel voulez-vous manger?
Mr. Boynton, you little spy, you can speak French.
Oh, no, I can't, Miss Brooks. Not really. Those are just a few words I picked up when I was in the Army.
The Army? You were stationed in New Orleans, and you know it.
But near the French Quarter.
Well, let us not delay any longer. I don't suppose they have what I really want for lunch. But maybe, eh? Do they ever have frog's legs?
What?
Oh, don't say it, Mr. Monet.
Well, why not? Frog's legs are delicious to eat. Let's all have them, huh?
Me? Eat frog's legs? What? I'd feel like a cannibal. If you'll excuse me, I'm afraid I've lost my appetite. I'll see you later, Miss Brooks.
Why would he feel like a cannibal if he ate frog's legs? He is not a frog.
Only in some ways is he not a frog, Mr. Monet. But don't worry about Mr. Boynton now.
Oh, yes, you're right. You're right, Miss Brooks. You know, in a way, I'm glad we're alone. There is something I would like to ask you. You see, I have been searching for just the right one ever since I come to America. And now, well, I feel that my search is at an end. You are the one I've been searching for.
Oh, Mr. Monet. But Mr. Boynton's gone now. You don't have to talk like that to me.
Oh, I don't think of Mr. Boynton. I think of you, Miss Brooks. Ma chère, Miss Brooks. I have something personal to talk to you about. But right now I'm late for an appointment with Mr. Conklin. Can you meet me someplace, right after school?
How about the Casbah? I mean the park. Mr.
Fine.
Of course, I have several papers to mark, and besides, I have to formulate my plans for tomorrow's class, and there are some other routine affairs I must take care of.
Oh, I realize this. How long will it all take?
Well, school doesn't let out until 3, and it's a 20-minute walk to the park. Would 3:10 be all right?
I will come right to the point, Miss Brooks. I have met you here in the park to make you what you call a proposal.
Proposal? But, Mr. Monet, you hardly know me.
Oh, I know you well enough for this, Miss Brooks. After talking to many, many women, Mrs. Conklin, little Mrs. Conklin, Harriet. I mean, I know you are the ideal woman for me.
Oh, this is very flattering, Mr. Monet, but marriage is a serious step.
Marriage? I cannot marry with you. I am already married.
With who?
Well, with my wife, Helene. She arrives here next week. For you, I have another proposal.
Any other proposal is only good for a sock in the nozzle.
No, you do not understand. I want you to accept a position as tutor for my 3 children.
3 children? Oh, Mrs. Davis will love this.
Well, they need very badly coaching in English before they can enter school here. And, well, what do you say, Miss Brooks? Will you help us out?
Mr. Monet, may I ask you one question?
Of course. What is it?
Among your children, is there a tall, dark one in the crowd?
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment. But first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Only Luster Cream brings you Kay Dumit's magic formula blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Gives loveliness lather even in hardest water. Glamorizes your hair as you wash it. Luster Cream, not a soap, not a liquid, but a dainty cream shampoo. Leaves hair fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Gives new beauty to all hairdos or permanents. 4-ounce jar, $1. Smaller sizes, either tubes or jars. Tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo and be a
dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a Luster Cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Well, I promised Mr. Monet I'd help him out with his children, but I must admit I was a little let down when I found out he wasn't a bachelor. And I said as much to Mrs. Davis.
Yes, Connie, it's a shame that such a darling man is already married.
But he served his purpose as far as upsetting Mr. Boynton goes.
What do you mean, Connie?
Well, the day after we had lunch together, Mr. Boynton was so concerned about the situation, guess what he did?
What?
He put a brand new lock on his frog's cage.
Next week, tune into another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Palmolive Soap, Your Beauty Hope, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous dream girl hair.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, written and directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch. Mr. Boynton is played by Jeff Chandler, Mr. Conklin by Gail Gordon. Others in tonight's cast were Jane Morgan, Dick Crenna, Gloria McMillan, and Gerald Moore.
Dentists know what cleans teeth best. And over 4,000 dentists say Colgate tooth powder with a 2-minute routine gets teeth sparkling and super clean. So to remove dull film and get your teeth shining clean, just brush teeth 2 minutes morning and night with Colgate tooth powder. Brush inside, outside, and biting surfaces. Always brush away from the gums. See how this gets teeth naturally bright. It removes dull film that improper brushing misses. And Colgate tooth powder also sweetens your breath. Try it. Buy Colgate tooth powder today.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evenings over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at the same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks.
Do you want to be free to work where you choose, start your own business, own your own home, invest your money as you see fit? Then the American way of life is best for you. We have the highest standard of living. Since 1910, we have practically doubled our annual income, yet our working time has been cut by about 18 hours a week. Let's start to realize how fortunate we are. Let's work a little harder on our jobs and at being better citizens. Let's remember that the better we produce, the better we live.
Stay tuned now for Lum and Abner. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden. It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, many of the nation's high school football teams played in postseason junior bowl games last week. Madison High School, where our Miss Brooks teaches English, also received a bowl bid.
Yes, Madison was invited to play in the cereal bowl. The game was scheduled for last Saturday, and Friday morning at breakfast, my landlady, Mrs. Davis, asked me about the details.
Where has the team been invited to play, Connie?
In the stadium at Clay City, Mrs. Davis. And you ought to see how big our beloved principal is taking this invitation. Mr. Conklin's so puffed up, he looks like he was shot out of a cannon. If you'll pardon a little wishful thinking. The last few days, he's been absolutely memo-happy.
Memo-happy?
He sends out one inter-office communication after another. But the game tomorrow should be a lot of fun. Walter Denton, the team's manager, told me that the cheerleaders and the team and the band are all going down in buses. Then there's going to be a dance at the Clay City Hotel after the game. I'd give anything to go.
Then why don't you, Connie?
I haven't got anything. The tickets are pretty expensive, Mrs. Davis, and on my budget, well, it's just out of the question.
How about Mr. Boynton? Is he going?
Yes, he's got a ticket already, I believe.
Just one ticket?
Mr. Boynton's on a budget, too. There's still a chance for me to go along as a chaperone for the girl cheerleaders. Mr. Conklin's daughter, Harriet, told me that he's going to choose between Miss Enright and me today.
Miss Enright? But she's always making goo-goo eyes at Mr. Boynton. If she goes to Clay City for the game and the dance afterwards, she'll have him all to herself.
I thought of that, Mrs. Davis. That's why I'm giving Mr. Conklin his Christmas present a little early this year. Like in a half an hour.
Good. What are you giving Mr. Conklin?
A pair of nice woolen socks to keep his feet warm at the game. Oh, it isn't that I want to influence Mr. Conklin to select me instead of Miss Enright.
It isn't.
Of course it is.
Well, all fair in love and war, Connie. Remember, Miss Enright will take any unfair advantage of you that she can.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Mrs. Davis.
You wouldn't?
Of course I would. And she would. At least she always has. Taken advantage, I mean.
Will you answer the door, please, Connie? I'll take the breakfast dishes into the kitchen.
All right, Mrs. Davis. It's probably Walter Denton. He's giving me a lift to school. Coming.
Good morning, Miss Brooks.
Miss Enright.
I was just driving to school, and knowing the usual condition of your car, I thought I might give you a ride this morning.
Well, that's very considerate, Miss Enright, but Walter Denton's picking me up any minute.
Oh. Well, there's another reason I stopped by. If I may come in out of the draft for a moment, I'll explain.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come in, Miss Enright. Sit down, won't you?
I'd rather stand, I think. I've a new dress on, and the furniture doesn't look too dusted.
Better brush off your finger. We haven't vacuumed the doorbell in months.
You're so witty, darling. But I just wanted to tell you that in spite of our little differences in the past, I see no reason why we can't be more friendly in the new year, which is practically upon us.
Well, I'm sure that
As a matter of fact, I've brought a little peace offering with me, Miss Brooks. Here, I'd like you to have this ticket.
Ticket? To what, Miss Enright?
To the Fireman's Ball. My Aunt Jessie bought it weeks ago, but the poor darling just doesn't feel up to going this year. And rather than waste the ticket, we immediately thought of you. Auntie says it's a lot of fun for spinsters.
What time will you be there? Look, Miss Enright, I don't believe that an unmarried girl should consider herself a spinster until she reaches a certain age.
Well, don't be testy, darling. I'm sure you won't reach that age for months yet. Now, take the ticket and have a good time tomorrow night.
Oh, it's for tomorrow night. Now, that's a coincidence. The bowl dance is being held tomorrow night in Clay City, and one of us is supposed to chaperone that affair.
Oh, but I'm virtually assured of that position, Miss Brooks.
What makes you think so?
Oh, I could tell from dear Mr. Conklin's reaction to my visit yesterday. You see, I dropped into his office after school with a little gift for him. I always like to give out my Christmas presents early.
What potential chaperone doesn't? What did you give Mr. Conklin?
I gave him a lovely pair of woolen socks.
Woolen socks?
Yes, he was very appreciative. Seemed genuinely touched. But that's what I like about our principal anyway. He has such a warm heart. Don't you think so, Miss Brooks?
I don't know about his heart, but he's going to have the warmest feet in Clay City. words with Mr. Conklin before my first class, Walter. Do you think we'll arrive at school in time?
I'll get you there in time to talk his arm off, Miss Brooks. But you shouldn't worry about that job as chaperone. There's absolutely no doubt that you'll be chosen.
According to Harriet, it's still between Miss Enright and me.
But, Miss Brooks, anybody who could possibly pick Miss Enright over you for any kind of position should have Mr. Conklin's head examined. I mean, it's a foregone conclusion that he'll take you. And the dance ought to be a lot of fun tomorrow night. Harriet and I have promised each other every dance. Except maybe one or two she'll have to give Mr. Boynton.
Oh, then Mr. Boynton is definitely going.
I thought you knew. Yeah, he got his ticket Monday right after we were chosen to play in the bowl. He's followed the team through thick and thin, Miss Brooks. That's why you've just got to go tomorrow.
Well, how can I, Walter, unless I'm chosen chaperone?
Well, easy. You can still buy a ticket.
It's not that easy. There's only a limited supply, you know.
Of tickets?
Of money. And tickets. They're probably all sold out by now.
Oh, don't worry, Miss Brooks. We'll figure something out. But to get back to Mr. Conklin for a second. Since we've been chosen to play in the bowl, he's definitely lid-flipping material.
Lid-flipping material?
He's blowing his entire court, Miss Brooks. Every time I turn around, I get another memo. Look at this last communique he sent me yesterday afternoon.
Let's see it, Walter. From the office of the principal to the manager, such as he is, of the football team. As per my prior instructions, have you made sure the members of the school band are bringing their instruments? How does he think they're going to play on tissue paper and combs? Not that it wouldn't be an improvement. Mr. Conklin is a man of many memos these days.
He sure is, Miss Brooks. But there isn't much we can do about it. After all, a school principal is a school principal.
I guess you're right, Walter. But under another set of circumstances, Mr. Conklin and I might get along beautifully.
What kind of circumstances, Miss Brooks?
If he were the principal of Madison High and I was an English teacher in Budapest.
Come in. Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. What can I do for you?
Do you really want to know, Mr. Conklin?
No, it was just a figure of speech. Please be brief. I've got a lot on my mind.
Yes, sir. I'd like you to accept this little Christmas present, Mr. Conklin. I wanted you to have it early.
Thank you, Miss Brooks. What is it?
Well, it's a sort of surprise, a timely surprise.
As a man who suffers from hypertension, Miss Brooks, I find that surprises do very little for me. What's in the package?
Well, I'll give you a hint, Mr. Conklin. You received a present from another teacher yesterday, isn't that right?
Yes.
Well, if you had that present on and then put my present on, you'd be wearing a very bloated pair of shoes. Here, I'll just put it away in your closet. Oh, while I'm at it, I could clean out this closet for you, Mr. Conklin.
No, thank you, Miss Brooks. Miss Enright did that for me yesterday. As you know, I'm going to choose one of you as the chaperone for the trip tomorrow. I'll make my final decision at lunchtime.
Very good, Mr. Conklin. Have you completed all arrangements for tomorrow?
Practically. I've just finished another memo for those directly concerned with the trip. I call it Schedule A. Would you like to hear it?
Not
it
necessary.
reads at 7:30 a.m. Band members and cheerleaders under supervision of female chaperone will leave on bus number 1. Second half of contingent will be personally conducted by me and will leave at 8 o'clock on bus number 2. Signed, Osgood Conklin.
That certainly is explicit. I must say, Mr. Conklin, these memos of yours are a wonderful idea. Why, this schedule lists all the instructions so clearly and concisely that there couldn't possibly be the slightest confusion.
I'm quite slippery on this side, Miss Brooks. Perhaps you should start buttering up the other.
Why, Mr. Conklin, it's just that I realize that there's more to this expedition than the honor of being invited to a bowl football game. And I want you to know that I'm ready, willing, and able to accept the great responsibility, the hard work, and the free ticket that goes with it.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith.
Now, proof that brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helps stop tooth decay before it starts.
Continuous research, hundreds of case histories, makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice research on tooth decay.
Eminent dental authorities supervised hundreds of college men and women for over 2 years. One group always brushed their teeth with Colgates right after eating. The other followed their usual dental care.
The group using Colgate Dental Cream as directed, using Colgates exclusively, showed a startling reduction in average number of cavities, far less tooth decay. The other group developed new cavities at a much higher rate. No other dentifrice offers proof of these results.
Modern research shows decay is caused by mouth acids, which are at their worst right after eating. Brushing teeth with Colgates as directed helps remove acids before they harm enamel. Yes, Colgates contains all the necessary ingredients, including an exclusive patented ingredient for effective daily dental care.
So remember, always use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Well, when lunch period started, I made my last bid for Mr. Conklin's favor. I went to the school cafeteria and filled a tray with the best food available, then carried it down to his office so he could have his lunch in private. The door was ajar, so I walked right in. Surprise!
Ah! Oh, it's you, Miss Brooks. Come in.
Yes, do come in, darling.
Miss Enright, what are you doing here?
Miss Enright was thoughtful enough to bring me some food from the cafeteria so I could have my lunch in private. Wasn't that sweet of her?
Sweet and swift.
What's that you have on the tray, Miss Brooks?
This? Oh, I just thought you might like a little dessert, Mr. Conklin.
What sort of dessert?
Roast loin of pork.
How terribly middle class.
Well, it looks delicious, but I've just finished a Swiss steak that Miss Enright brought me. I've got to watch my weight.
Oh, then I'll just take it back.
Put it down on my desk. I've a long day ahead of me. Now then, you're both wondering, no doubt, as to which of you is my final choice for the position of chaperone at the Clay City game and dance.
Well, there's no hurry about it, Mr. Conklin. If you want to...
Who?
Well, it's not you, Miss Brooks.
Then you mean...
No, it's not you either, Miss Enright. I've decided that the ideal chaperone for this trip is Mrs. Conklin.
Mrs. Conklin? Your wife?
An amazing deduction. Yes, the thought occurred to me this morning while I was mulling over a memo that the chaperone for girls should be a married woman. That eliminated Miss Enright, of course. And unless there's been a sudden and radical upheaval in your existence, you're not married either, Miss Brooks.
You're so right, Mr. Conklin. But if you'll excuse me now, I've got something very important to do in the cafeteria.
What's that, Miss Brooks?
I've got to start engineering a sudden and radical upheaval in my existence. Mr. Boynton. Well, this is a coincidence.
What is, Miss Brooks?
My running into you like this, after only 5 minutes of stalking. But, Mr. Boynton, I wanted to talk to you about the weekend. Have you any plans?
Plans? Certainly, Miss Brooks. I've got a ticket to the cereal bowl game at Clay City.
But that's 80 miles away, Mr. Boynton, and I understand the trip is being made in buses, those drafty, old-fashioned buses.
Oh, they're not so bad, and the game should be a lot of fun.
Fun? Bucking those crowds? Then when you do get in, you have to sit on hard wooden benches with your feet on cold cement. And do you know what a breeding place for germs a mob of people can be?
But, Miss Brooks, people go to football games all the time, never catch anything.
Some people stay home and never catch anything. Look, Mr. Boynton, this game is for kids.
Oh, but there's a dance afterwards for everybody.
Fine dance. You know who's going to play the music for it? Our school orchestra. And have you heard them rehearsing lately?
Well, no, I haven't.
I have. They were running through Mule Train the other day, and the only instruments on key were the whips.
I'm surprised at this attitude of yours, Miss Brooks. I thought you'd be keen to go. Didn't you even buy a ticket?
Buy a ticket? I wouldn't go to that clam bake if somebody gave me a ticket. Besides, there's a new movie coming to the Strand tomorrow that all the papers say may get the Academy Award. It's called All the King's Men. You wouldn't want to miss that, would you?
Well, I'll see that later on, Miss Brooks. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to get back to my laboratory before class starts. Some things I want to pack away for the weekend.
Go ahead, Mr. Boynton.
Well, I'll see you before I go, won't I? There's no hard feelings.
Oh, certainly not. No reason why you shouldn't go where you want to go when you want to go there. Is there?
I guess not. See you later, Miss Brooks.
Toodle. But instead I'll trust him implicitly. He can go where he wants to go, do what he wants to do. I don't care. My affection.
Excuse me, Miss Brooks, but I've got the most wonderful news for you. May I sit down for a minute?
Why, certainly, Harriet. What's the news?
Daddy just talked to Mother on the phone, and she doesn't feel up to going along tomorrow. So he picked you to chaperone the girls.
Me? What made him decide on me?
Well, to be perfectly honest about it, Miss Brooks, Daddy flipped a coin. He says if it was heads, you'd go, and tails, Miss Enright would go.
And the coin came up heads?
3 times. Now, here's your ticket, Miss Brooks. This is good not only for the game, but a round-trip ride on the bus and admission to the dance.
Oh, I can hardly believe it.
Oh, this is a real break, Miss Brooks. You got just utterly the last ticket in school. Oh, one more thing. Here's another memo from Daddy. He wants you to read it very carefully.
Let's see. Schedule B. At 7:30 a.m., band members and cheerleaders under supervision of female chaperones. Yeah, I know, Harriet. In fact, I knew Schedule B when it was only Schedule A. If you'll pardon me, Harriet, I've got to tell someone about the news you just brought me.
Who, Miss Brooks?
Oh, someone.
All right, Miss Brooks. And I know Mr. Boynton will be tickled to hear it.
Come in. Oh, hello, Miss Brooks.
After you left, Mr. Boynton, I got to thinking about our conversation.
Me too, Miss Brooks. And I've decided that I'm not going on the Clay City trip after all.
You're not going?
No, I'm selling my ticket to Mr. LeBlanche, the French teacher.
Selling your ticket? But, Mr. Boynton, you're missing the trip of the century. Cozy modern buses, the thrill of personal contact with that adorable horde of people at the stadium. And then there's the game itself. Tense, exciting action, viewed from comfy, form-fitting beaverboard seats.
Just a minute, Miss Brooks. Are you going tomorrow?
Of course, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
But you said in the cafeteria that you wouldn't go if somebody gave you a ticket. What made you change your mind?
Somebody gave me a ticket.
Miss Brooks, what about all the King's men?
All the King's men couldn't drag me away from Clay City tomorrow, Mr. Boynton. And I'm surprised that you don't feel the same way.
Well, I would like to root for the old team, but I promised Mr. LeBlanche the ticket, and once I make a promise, I keep it. Well, don't worry about me, Miss Brooks. I'll find something to do. I'll probably take Miss Enright to a movie or something.
Miss Enright?
Well, yes, she loves movies, you know.
She loves sitting in movies. There's a difference. Honestly, Mr. Boynton, I just can't understand you sometimes.
How do you mean, Miss Brooks?
Well, doesn't being with the old team mean more to you than being with old Enright? Not that there's anything wrong with Miss Enright that a little chicanery, which I'm about to indulge in, couldn't eliminate, along with Miss Enright.
I'm afraid I don't follow you, Miss Brooks.
Let's keep it that way, Mr. Boynton, at least temporarily. I'll see you in a little while.
Yeah, but Miss Brooks, you don't...
Toodle.
Hiya, Miss Brooks. I've been looking all over for you. And Mr. Conklin wants you to read this memo right away.
Oh, let's see that, Walter. Schedule C. At 7:30 a.m., band members and cheerleaders will board bus number 1. Oh, great. I don't have to read this. I know this schedule backwards.
Well, you don't sound very enthusiastic about being chosen chaperone, Miss Brooks.
Frankly, Walter, I'm not.
But why not?
Well, it's a long, dull story in which the heroine cuts her own throat. But boiled down, it reads, Mr. Boynton isn't going.
Now I'm stuck with a ticket for a trip I don't even want to make.
Hello, Miss Brooks. Walter.
Oh, it's you.
Hi, Miss Enright. If you ladies will excuse me, I've got to get over to the supply room and pick up some megaphones. We can finish our conversation in a few minutes, Miss Brooks.
Thanks a million, Walter.
Well, Mr. Compton told me that you won the toss, Miss Brooks, and I suppose good sportsmanship demands that I offer my congratulations.
Well, thank you, Miss Enright. That is very sporting of you.
Of course, I have enough money in the bank to go on my own, but there just isn't a ticket to be had.
I know there isn't. Wait a minute. What would a ticket be worth to you, Miss Enright?
Why, do you have an extra one, Miss Brooks?
Would you give $5 for a ticket, Miss Enright? It includes bus fare and admission to the dance, you know.
Well, that sounds eminently fair, Miss Brooks. Here's the $5.
And here's the ticket. Well, I have to be running along now, Miss Enright. Hope you have a nice time over the weekend.
Oh, I'm sure we'll all have a nice time. You and Mr. Boynton and myself.
I'm sure we will, Miss Enright. Goodbye.
I wonder where she got this ticket.
Hi, Miss Enright. Well, I got all the equipment and stuff, and where did Miss Brooks go? I wanted to cheer her up a little.
Cheer her up?
Yeah. She seems kind of blue because Mr. Boynton isn't going to the game tomorrow.
Mr. Boynton is... So that's why she sold me the ticket. Walter, could I borrow one of those pennants you've got there?
Oh, sure, Miss Enright. What kind do you want?
Any kind, just so it's nice and sharp.
Come in.
It's me again, Mr. Boynton. There's something I'd like
I'm glad
to
you
discuss.
came back, Miss Brooks. I've been thinking this over very carefully, and I've decided that I've just got to go and root for our team tomorrow. Now, those kids would never forgive me if I didn't come. Mr. LeBlanc will just have to understand.
You don't mean it, Mr. Boynton. You can't mean that you're going to ride 80 miles in a drafty old... and then buck a germ-ridden mob for the privilege of watching 22 untalented children run into each other while you're sitting on a stone bench with your feet in your pockets.
I'm sorry, Miss Brooks. You can't talk me out of it this time. I'm going to the ball tomorrow or bust.
Oh, but Mr. Boynton...
Hey, I come in, Mr. Boynton. It's Miss Enright.
Stay right where you are, Miss Enright. I'll come out. Excuse me, Mr. Boynton.
Well, what is all this?
Miss Brooks, I thought I'd find you here.
I know what you're thinking, Miss Enright, and you're perfectly justified in being annoyed with me, but I'd like to make it up to you if you'll let me.
What do you mean, Miss Brooks?
Here's your $5 back. Give me the ticket.
Well, I didn't expect you to be this honest. Here you are, Miss Brooks.
Thank you.
Oh, hello, Miss Enright.
Oh, hello, Mr. Boynton. I understand you're going to be in town over the weekend. How about taking in a movie together tomorrow night?
Oh, I'm afraid that's out of the question, Miss Enright. I'm going to Clay City tomorrow with the team.
Well, Miss Brooks, you've done it again. That's 2 touchdowns for you already.
Don't add up the score yet. I'm hoping to make some conversions tomorrow.
Eve Arden as our Miss Brooks returns in just a moment, but first...
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl.
Tonight, yes, tonight, show him how much lovelier your hair can look after a Luster Cream shampoo. Luster Cream, world's finest shampoo. No other shampoo in the world gives Kay Duma's magic blend of secret ingredients plus gentle lanolin. Not a soap, not a liquid. Luster Cream shampoo leaves hair 3 ways lovelier. Fragrantly clean, free of loose dandruff, glistening with sheen, soft, manageable. Even in hardest water, Luster Cream lathers instantly. No special rinse needed after a Luster Cream shampoo. So gentle, Luster Cream is wonderful even for children's hair. Tonight, yes, tonight, try Luster Cream shampoo.
Dream girl, beautiful luster cream girl. You owe your crowning glory to a luster cream shampoo.
And now, once again, here is our Miss Brooks.
Saturday morning, as per Mr. Conklin's schedules, I boarded the 7:30 bus with the cheerleaders and the band. We arrived at the Clay City Hotel about half an hour before game time.
Isn't this a swell room, Miss Brooks?
Oh, it's very nice, Harriet.
This is where we're going to change our clothes for the dance tonight. The band has a suite right down the hall.
I'll get it. Hello, Miss Brooks speaking.
Hello, Miss Brooks. This is Mr. Conklin. All set up in your room?
Yes, and it's very comfortable, Mr. Conklin. How is your room?
Splendid, thank you. But that's not what I'm calling about. I had Walter Denton deliver Schedule C to you yesterday, Miss Brooks. Did you read it?
Oh, that wasn't necessary, Mr. Conklin. I remembered word for word the instructions you outlined in Schedules A and B.
Never mind A and B, Miss Brooks. Do you happen to have Schedule C handy?
Yes, sir. It's right here in my purse.
Then open it up and read it to me. I'll hang on.
Yes, sir. Here it is. It says, Schedule C, at 7:30 a.m., band members and cheerleaders will leave on bus number 1. Due to the fact that I have procured a much larger bus than was previously planned, bus number 2 has been canceled.
Read on, Miss Brooks.
Therefore, chaperone will delay departure of the bus until 8 a.m. But, Mr. Conklin, if the second bus was canceled, what transportation did you have?
None, Miss Brooks.
But you said you had a nice room.
Oh, I have a lovely room. You've seen it. Done in early American. Lots of nice maple and some fine old prints. There's only one thing I don't like about it, Miss Brooks.
What's that, Mr. Conklin?
It's in my home. 80 miles from Clay City.
Oh, this is terrible. I don't know what to say, Mr. Conklin. Why, I'm responsible for you being left all alone.
Oh, but I'm not alone, Miss Brooks.
You're not?
No. No, there are 25 of us here. The entire Madison football team! Now then, Miss Brooks, with the game due to commence in half an hour, who is going to take the field against Clay City?
The Madison Band, Mr. Conklin.
The band? You're going to have the band play football?
No, sir, mule train. That's one way we'll be sure to whip them.
Next week, tune into another Our Miss Brooks show brought to you by Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair and Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, is produced by Larry Burns, directed by Al Lewis, with music by Wilbur Hatch.
Men, here is actual factual proof of more comfortable, actually smoother shaves by using Palmolive Lather Shaving Cream. 1,251 men tried the Palmolive Lather way to shave described on the tube. And no matter how they shaved before, 3 out of 4 got more comfortable, actually smoother shaves. Try Palmolive Lather Shaving Cream. See if you don't get more comfortable, actually smoother shaves the Palmolive Lather Shaving Cream way.
For mystery liberally sprinkled with laughs, listen to Mr. and Mrs. North, the exciting, fun-packed adventures of an amateur detective and his beautiful wife. Tune in Tuesday evening over most of these same stations. And be with us again next week at this same time for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks. Bob Lamont speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth and help stop tooth decay, and Luster Cream Shampoo for soft, glamorous, caressable hair bring you Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden.
It's time once again for another comedy episode of Our Miss Brooks, written by Al Lewis. Well, last Thursday was Thanksgiving Day, and most of us realized that we had quite a bit to be thankful for. Even our Miss Brooks, who teaches English at Madison High School.
Yes, the holiday means a lot to me. First, it gives me an opportunity to relax and count my lack of blessings. And second, it offers a chance to catch up on several days' brooding. But this Thanksgiving was different. I knew it was going to be when I joined my landlady at breakfast last Wednesday morning. Good morning, Mrs. Davis. Did you have a nice night?
Wonderful, Connie. I didn't sleep a wink.
That sounds like fun.
I was planning my menu for tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving, you know, and I wanted something special for Minerva and me.
Minerva? Oh, there you are, you cute little kitten.
Where is she, Connie?
Taking my stocking off with her cute little paws. Stop it, Minerva. Now get away from my stocking. Either get away from those or knit me a new pair with that ball of yarn you play with.
Go out to the kitchen, Minerva. I do want you to hear about tomorrow's menu.
What are you having, Mrs. Davis?
Minerva's favorite dish. SQUAB. It doesn't do a bit of good to spell things out anymore.
I guess she's too old for that. Please go into the kitchen, Minerva. There's some milk out there. Right under the SINK. Don't tell me she slammed the door behind her.
No, that was me, Connie. I wanted to show you the squab I got for tomorrow.
Oh, I'd like to see it.
Well, here it is.
Where? Oh, right there behind that carrot.
It isn't very big, is it?
I've seen stuffing with larger drumsticks.
You know, Connie, I was all ready to get a nice 10-pound turkey yesterday when the clerk at the market said something that made me change my mind.
What did he say?
$8.30.
Well, that is a pretty rude remark.
I'm afraid I was a little testy when I complained about the price. Anyway, when I demanded something cheaper, this is the bird he gave me.
You certainly did.
Well, it'll be enough for Minerva and myself. I suppose you've already been invited somewhere for turkey and all the fixings.
Where would you suggest?
Hasn't Mr. Boynton asked you out for Thanksgiving dinner, Connie?
Not yet, Mrs. Davis, but this morning he's going to be exposed to the most thorough opportunity to do so.
Good.
Of course, Mr. Boynton's been on a very strict budget lately. He probably can't afford any turkey dinners.
Then you bring him back here with you, Connie.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, Mrs. Davis, but that squab...
We'll make it do. Remember the old saying, there's always room for just one more.
In this case, you must mean one more squab. Well, thanks anyway, Mrs. Davis. After all, we've still got our health, which is more than I can say for that squab.
Of course, I'd rather see you eat a nice turkey dinner tomorrow. Maybe you could wangle yourself an invitation from one of your friends.
Oh, please, Mrs. Davis. Oh, that must be Walter Denton. He's giving me a lift to school. Be right there, Walter.
Why don't you find out what his folks are planning for tomorrow? Maybe you could get yourself invited there.
I'm surprised at you, Mrs. Davis. Why, I'd never forced myself on anyone in my life.
Connie, take another look at that squab.
Like I say, Walter's mother may not know it yet, but there's always room for just one more. Oh, it certainly is nice weather for Thanksgiving, isn't it, Walter?
It's more than nice, Miss Brooks. This air is absolutely succulent. It's downright savory and delicious.
One more crack like that, and I'll be gnawing on the steering wheel. Tell me, Walter, how do you usually spend Thanksgiving?
Well, usually, Mom cooks a big turkey and we have dinner around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Gosh, I'll never forget last year's meal. First, we had a fresh fruit cup, then some delicious vegetable soup, and then this big golden brown turkey was served with a special dressing made out of chestnuts and raisins and stuff, and... You want to hear the rest of it, Miss Brooks?
Certainly. Just pass me a blotter and keep talking.
Well, I don't remember all the dishes, but the hot mince pie was really tops. And my mom is just about the best cook in this town.
And like most good cooks, she probably prepares more food than she really needs.
Oh, sure. Out of last year's turkey, the whole family had turkey, turkey giblets, turkey sandwiches, and turkey hash.
That's because you didn't invite enough guests over for Thanksgiving dinner. You know, Walter, I've often thought that people who are so close to each other all year round should somehow manage to spend their holidays together as well.
What kind of people are you talking about, Miss Brooks?
Well, school teachers and students, for example.
Who needs needs teachers on a holiday? I mean, most teachers you get enough of during school hours. If present company accepted, of course. Oh, you're a lot different, Miss Brooks.
I know. I'm hungrier. Look, Walter, about spending Thanksgiving together. If you're planning to be with your folks...
Oh, but I'm not, Miss Brooks. Now, my mother and Dad are going out of town for the weekend. It's my Dad's first vacation in 2 years.
How come you're not leaving town with them?
It's my Dad's first vacation in 2 years. Oh, he loves me, but he thinks I'm a little wearing in spots. So I'm staying over at Stretch Snodgrass's house until next week.
Oh, I see. Then you'll have Thanksgiving dinner with Mr. and Mrs. Snodgrass.
No, ma'am, they're going away with my folks. They're good friends, you know. Just like Stretch and...
Afford to visit my parents this year, but, well, now they'll have something to remind them of me anyhow.
Must be a very tall turkey. What did he weigh, Mr. Boynton?
Oh, about 18 pounds. Of course, what I'd do with an 18-pound turkey, I'll never know.
Until tomorrow. Well, I'd better be running along now. On second thought, you needn't get to the house until 3 or 3:30. On third thought, you can back out of the whole thing if you want to.
Back out? I should say not. I'll be there all right, and thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome. But, Mr. Boynton, if you're expecting the conventional Thanksgiving Day dinner, you're liable to be a little disappointed. I'm just not having it.
Oh, what are you having?
So far, Walter Denton and Stretch Snodgrass.
Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, will continue in just a moment. But first, here is Vern Smith.
Now, proof that brushing teeth right after eating with Colgate Dental Cream helps stop tooth decay before it starts.
Continuous research, hundreds of case histories, makes this the most conclusive proof in all dentifrice research on tooth decay.
Eminent dental authorities supervised hundreds of college men and women for over 2 years. One group always brushed their teeth with Colgates right after eating. The other followed their usual dental care.
The group using Colgate Dental Cream as directed, using Colgates exclusively, showed a startling reduction in average number of cavities, far less tooth decay. The other group developed new cavities at a much higher rate. No other dentifrice offers proof of these results.
Modern research shows decay is caused by mouth acids, which are at their worst right after eating. Brushing teeth with Colgates as directed helps remove acids before they harm enamel. Yes, Colgates contains all the necessary ingredients, including an exclusive patented ingredient for effective daily dental care.
So remember, always use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth. And helps
me. But, Miss Brooks, I think your idea about spending Thanksgiving together is swell.
You do?
Sure. Then why don't you and Stretch and me have dinner tomorrow?
Dinner? Well, that might be very nice, Walter.
Oh, great. Then Stretch and I will be over to your place at 3 o'clock sharp.
My place?
Well, yeah. That is, if you still want us.
I wouldn't be without you. But, Walter, Mrs. Davis did the shopping yesterday, and there just weren't any good-sized turkeys left that she could afford. So what she bought was a very
what she bought isn't important, Miss Brooks. What counts is spending Thanksgiving with people who mean something to you. Gee, the Pilgrim certainly had it all over us modern characters. When a pilgrim wanted to celebrate the holiday, he just picked up his musket and shot himself a turkey.
At the current prices, Walter, the only way I'll have a turkey tomorrow is if I pick up a musket and shoot myself a butcher.
Come in.
Good morning, Mr. Boynton. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute before your first class.
Well, I'm glad you dropped in, Miss Brooks. I've got some rather exciting news this morning.
I'll be glad to. What is it, Mr. Boynton?
Well, do you remember the raffle ticket I bought last month in Marty's malt shop?
Oh, on that green Adams hat with the red feather?
No, on a tom turkey. They had the drawing last night, and I won. Isn't that wonderful?
That is what I call the coincidence of all time.
Coincidence?
Why do you think I stopped by your laboratory this morning?
Well, I don't know.
To invite you over for Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow.
Well, that is nice of you, Miss Brooks. I'll be happy to come over. About what time will you be expecting me?
I'll be expecting you and Tom about noon.
Tom? Oh, you mean the turkey. Well, I'm afraid he won't be with me, Miss Brooks. You see, at this very moment, the turkey is on a train headed upstate.
Why? Did he get fed up with our climate?
I sent him up to my folks' place. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford